So then, here we are. This is the Mini Electric. Now, avid viewers of the channel will know that a few weeks ago I actually went and took a look around some of the exterior and interior details of the Electric, and if you'd like to see that video, do please use the link in the top of the screen to go and check it out. But this video is about how the Mini Electric drives. So, firstly we'll have a little recap over some of the stats and figures before we then jump in the driver's seat and really find out whether the Electric still feels like a Mini. So let's go crack on. So then, let's begin with the stats. The Mini Electric features a 92 amp hour battery which runs along the chassis and across the back in the shape of a T. On the WLTP cycle you'll be looking at getting around 150 miles on a full charge. And charging, I hear you ask? Well, charging is as simple as this. Watch this. Flap here, cover, charging cable, in. It's as easy as that. So in terms of charging time, you do get a 3-pin plug which you can use at home. Now charging times on that are around 12.5 hours. On a AC public charge you're looking about 2.5 hours, and on a DC rapid charge you're looking 0% to 80% in 35 minutes. The Electric is available in 3 spec levels, and they are ingeniously called level 1, 2 and 3, with 3 being the highest. All Mini Electrics come as standard with generous amounts of equipment, so even the level 1 gets LED front and rear lights, a 6.5 inch infotainment screen with sat-nav, Apple CarPlay and real-time traffic information, air conditioning, mini driving modes and a new 5.5 inch digital dash. You can even use the Mini Connected app to precondition your car ready for when you set off to ensure your batteries are at optimum temperature. The Mini Electric starts at £24,400 on the road, including the £3,500 government grant. The car that we have today is a level 2. Inside the Mini Electric feels very reassuring because it feels like a Mini. If you've ever driven a Mini before, you'll know exactly what everything in here does. Everything down here is exactly the same as it is in a regular Mini. So it feels familiar until you do this. Right foot on the brake, of course, because there's no clutch, because there is no gearbox. Start stop button, and the car is on in complete silence. It's going to take some getting used to that. So let's put it into drive, handbrake off, and let's go and see how the Mini Electric drives, shall we? Pulling away in complete silence. So now we're on the move in the Mini Electric, and my very first impressions of it are so good. It feels like a Mini. It feels just like a Mini. So I've ran a Cooper S over the last 6 months, and this feels exactly like that, which is exactly just what I wanted the Mini Electric to feel like. I was kind of skeptical when they first said the Electric's coming, because when people build an electric car they tend to try and do things very, very differently in one way, shape or form. But the Electric is unmistakably Mini, both from the way that it looks, which I love that they've kept this car just as a normal Mini, and then the way it drives. Minis are iconic, and I really feel like the Electric could have gone the wrong way. It could have not felt like a Mini, but it does. It really, really does. It feels exactly like a Mini and is brilliant. So let's firstly start about the comfort side of things. So the Electric does sit slightly higher than the Cooper S. That's to make up for all the batteries which sit, as I've already mentioned, in a T shape along the chassis. So it does sit a little bit higher. It obviously weighs a bit more than the Cooper S, but as far as I can tell, its ride quality isn't hindered at all. I mean, the roads that I'm driving it on at the minute around Shropshire are pretty bad at the best of times, especially with all the flooding and so on that we've been having recently, but it's managing potholes incredibly well. And I love the little feature down here, which you can change the amount of regenerative brakes you want. So at the minute I've got it set as low, but if you wanted you could change it and set it to high. So let me just quickly explain what that does. So the regen brakes basically will brake the car for you, which has come directly from the BMW i3. So you can actually drive this car with the high regen brakes on with one pedal. You can learn how quickly it's going to slow you down. But I prefer it without loads of regen because I like to brake myself. And while it is braking, it's pumping normally wasted kinetic energy back into the battery systems. So the harder and faster you drive it, the more electricity you're generating. It's a great excuse. As I've already mentioned as well, this is a level 2, and the specification in here is absolutely spot on. We've got loads, and the big thing that I love is the new dashboard. It looks great. It really, really does look great. And I imagine that this will be filtering into your normal regular 3-door hatches soon. But it's just fantastic. So the right-hand side shows me my charge, and the left-hand side shows me how much power I'm using at any given point, if I'm charging the batteries, if I'm decharging them. You've got your speed big in the center with the speed limit there as well, which is great. Yeah, I love this car. Now what about the performance then? Because that is the other side of this car. Obviously we know electric cars are quick, but this feels a lot quicker than the numbers would suggest. So let me just tell you those numbers. So we've got 184 brake horsepower, we've got 270 Newton meters of torque, which is enough to propel the electric from 0 to 60 in 7.3 seconds. But let me tell you, it feels an awful lot faster than that. It really does. And then you've got the feel when you're going through the corners. It has that go-kart feel. It really does. When you're shifting, it's just so easy to place on the road. It doesn't bounce around. It feels just like a Cooper S. Now, while we're just stopped at these traffic lights, let me just talk about the noise. It's deadly silent. If you've never driven an electric car, I urge you to, and I urge you to drive this one. It's deadly silent. However, the electric does have, I don't know if you can hear that, a weird sort of spaceship sound when you're moving. Now obviously that must be because it's electric, you can't hear it, so it's to make pedestrians aware that the car's there. It's really strange. It feels like a spaceship. I quite like it. And it feels so much quicker than 7.3. I tell you that, it feels seriously rapid. And while we're on the subject of speed and power and cornering, next week we are filming an incredibly exciting video. And I'll give you a little teaser. It features an electric, a Cooper S, and a go-kart track. And that's all I'm going to say. So, my verdict on the electric. It is the future. Whether we like it or not, us petrol heads, electric is the future. And you know, the Mini electric is unlike any electric car that I've driven before. I've driven plenty. But this feels different. This feels like a very distinct change, not only for electric cars, but for Mini as a brand. I think this feels as if it's the start of something. And if the start of that, if this is the start, just imagine where that's going to go in the next few years. It's fantastic. And I would urge you, please, if you're watching this, go and organise a test drive. Organise it through Rybrook, obviously. But go and organise a test drive, go and drive this car, and you'll see what I mean. It's got so much character to it. It's not lost any of that iconic Mini character by being electric. If anything, it's made it more desirable. Electric cars are very much on the up at the minute. They're on trend. And the Mini, has a Mini ever not been trendy? It's brilliant.